something just a general practice technique I do is I try to get the core of it down before I get overeager and jump into any tactics. So, for instance, I want to make sure that I'm getting this good stalker composition. I'm getting phoenixes out at the right time. I'm getting my expansions out at the right time. I'm not losing to harassment. I have good vision. So when his push comes, I can crush it. Well, it's more like I defeated it. I didn't rape it last game by any means or anything like that. But I think it's so important not to get a little overeager with the tactics, because I mean, then what happens is you're in a game, and let's say in that game I did build DTs and I just crushed Jinro afterwards. After I killed off all his ravens, in reality, the DTs are not what won it for me. They're what sort of wrapped it up for me. And if, for instance, it was an even exchange, that's what would have maybe tipped it in my favor a touch. But what happens when I don't kill all the ravens? So I do this big push, and then I'm like, oh, I make 6 DTs. I'm like, get him, DTs, get him. And then I like move in there. He scans once, kills all the DTs, or he has a raven there and kills all the DTs. And now all of a sudden, I've just thrown away like 600 minerals for no reason, 600 gas as well. Ugh, not so good. So, um, again, I could begin producing DTs again, but I don't think that is going to be my core focus. For me, I would probably do something like build some DTs at the north end of the map, and then sneak him to his front after I kill off all the ravens. So do maybe a little bit of poking damage, but I still have time to pull back. But also, you talked about how the Thors worked in a later game. They worked pretty well. I mean, my Phoenixes fell a little faster, but he absolutely had fewer tanks. Like, ordinarily, he would be pushing with 9 tanks, but he had 6 instead because he got these Thors. And also, it allows me to blink in a little bit more easily, and all that fancy jazz. So, and also, I can target fire the Thors. It just ends up being a lot cooler of a game, a lot more dynamic of a game. So here comes the last question. What is the last question coming up? Let us divine. Let us choose the best question possible. Oh, you know what? Here's a great question by Click. Day9, what do you think about opening with Blink Stalkers to harass him while you expo and get Phoenixes, since you're already going to get Blink Stalkers anyways? And that, I love this question by Click for 2 reasons. First of all, it's obviously Blink's good, so it's a good tactic to think about, right? Why not? If you're gonna get stalkers, let's see if we can blink them, do a little damage with them. But also, it just flows into what I was doing beforehand, anyways. Too often, people will say something like, "Well, if you're going mass stalker with some phoenixes, why not do some Colossus drops in there? Why not just get like 3 Warp Prisms, just drop 3 Colossus?" It's like, because I don't have the money to get every single different tech path worth of unit. I just can't, But of course, the one adjustment that this is making is just getting Stalkers with Blink, just sort of popping it out there. That might be something I want to start playing with a little bit more, bring the counter aggression to his front door. Because we saw in that first game, I was able to bounce into the back and do a little bit of fancy damage. With my mainly Zealot army before I had to pull back. I think it might be cool to do some Stalkers with Blink in there while I'm setting up the expansion. Absolutely something I would want to begin playing around with. But, again, the reason I love that is because this is why there is depth of strategy in StarCraft 2, and what makes StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1 an interesting game is that you see this and your mind goes, wow, Stalkers, Phoenix on 3 bases in the mid game. Wow. There's about 100 ways I could do that. You can go Dark Templar into that, but what about going Stalkers into Blink? We could just eliminate the Templar tech altogether and get a whole bunch of Stalkers in there. Well, what about going 3 Warp Gate Stalkers right at the outset, trying to bust down his back door and do all that stuff, and then expanding? All reasonable, valid stuff. And honestly, I love that idea so much by Click that absolutely one of you should try it. And it's too close for me to be able to just go, oh, it intuitively works here, or it intuitively doesn't work here. It just seems like a nice, solid, reasonable opening. And with that, Day 9 Daily number 130 will conclude. Oh. But I do want to say 129 will be up after 130 gets up, because what happened is my stream crashed right in the middle of the daily, but Ustream was still recording, because again, Ustream, everything's going great on the Ustream end. It's like me crashing my own encoder. So it was trying to record nothing being input, and it just completely messes up the resulting file. So Gonna try to figure that out as quickly as possible. Sorry about that. But last but not least, please follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/day9tv. Follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/day9tv. You know what? And follow my brother on Twitter as well. He's Call Me Tasteless, because his Twitter is hilarious. I mean, I always post things like, my mouse hand feels good, or, LOL, I beat Jinro one game against his mech. And my brother actually says things that are funny. So that's going to wrap that up. I'm done. I am going to get a chicken pot pie. See you later, guys. Keep on fishing.